A citizen was cited for a tax investigation by the IRS. Frightened, he asked his accountant how to dress. "Use rags, they'll think you're a beggar," the accountant replied. When he asked his lawyer, he told him the exact opposite. Don't let them intimidate you. Wear your best suit and most elegant tie. Confused, the man decides to ask his wife, tells her of the two opposite counsels, and asks for her opinion. The wife says, "Let me tell you a story. When I was about to marry you, I asked my mother what to wear on the wedding night. Put on heavy, thick pajamas that reach your neck, my mother told me. But when I asked my best friend, she gave me the opposite advice. Put on the smallest lingerie you have, transparent, and a floss thong." The astonished middleman asks, "But my love, what does that have to do with my taxes?" "Well, no matter how you dress, they are going to nail you." An elderly couple was celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. The couple had married as childhood sweethearts and had moved back to their old neighborhood after they retired. Holding hands, they walked back to their old school. It was not locked, so they entered. They found the old desk they'd shared, where Jerry had carved "I love you, Sally." On their way back home, a bag of money fell out of an armored car, practically landing at their feet. Sally quickly picked it up, and, not sure what to do with it, they took it home. There, she counted the money, $50,000. Jerry said, "We've got to give it back." Sally said, "Finders keepers." She put the money back in the bag and hid it in their attic. The next day, 2 police officers, who were canvassing the neighborhood looking for the money, knocked on their door. "Pardon me, did either of you find a bag that fell out of an armored car yesterday?" Sally said. "No," Jerry said. "She's lying. She hid it up in the attic." Sally said. "Don't believe him, he's getting senile." The agents turned to Jerry and began to question him. One said, "Tell us the story from the beginning." Jerry said, "Well, when Sally and I were walking home from school yesterday." The first police officer turned to his partner and said, "Let's get out of here." An old man placed an order for 1 hamburger, French fries, and a drink. He unwrapped the plain hamburger and carefully cut it in half, placing one half in front of his wife. He then carefully counted out the French fries, divided them into 2 piles, and neatly placed one pile in front of his wife. He took a sip of the drink, his wife took a sip, and then set the cup down between them. As he began to eat his few bites of hamburger, the people around them were looking over and whispering. Obviously, they were thinking, that poor old couple, all they can afford is 1 meal for the 2 of them. As the man began to eat his fries, a young man came to the table and politely offered to buy another meal for the old couple. The old man said they were just fine, they were used to sharing everything. People closer to the table noticed the little old lady hadn't eaten a bite. She sat there watching her husband eat and occasionally taking turns sipping the drink. Again, the young man came over and begged them to let him buy another meal for them. This time the old woman said, "No, thank you, we are used to sharing everything." Finally, as the old man finished and was wiping his face neatly with the napkin, the young man again came over to the little old lady who had yet to eat a single bite of food and asked, "What is it you are waiting for?" She answered, "The teeth." A man runs into his buddy at the bar and says to him, "You wouldn't believe it, but I've got a nympho sitting in my car in the parking lot. But she's completely wrecked me and I need a break. Can't you go and keep her busy for a while? The car's interior lights are broken, so she won't even know it's not me." His buddy agrees and goes to the car. As soon as he steps in, they get busy in the back seat. A couple minutes later, a police officer sees them going at it, knocks on the window, and shines his flashlight on the pair. "What's going on here?" he asks. "Nothing doing," says the man. "This is my wife." "Oh, my apologies," replies the officer. "I didn't know." "That's quite all right," says the man. "I didn't either until you showed up with your flashlight." A big city lawyer went duck hunting in rural North Carolina. He shot and dropped a bird, but it fell into a farmer's field on the other side of a fence. As the lawyer climbed over the fence, an elderly farmer drove up on his tractor and asked him what he was doing. The litigator responded, "I shot a duck and it fell in this field, and now I'm going to retrieve it." The old farmer Peter replied, "This is my property, and you are not coming over here." The indignant lawyer said, "I am one of the best trial lawyers in Australia, and if you don't let me get that duck, I'll sue you and take everything you own." The old farmer smiled and said, "Apparently, you don't know how we settle disputes in North Cowra. We settle small disagreements like this with the 3-kick rule. The lawyer asked, "What is the 3-kick rule?" The farmer replied, "Well, because the dispute occurs on my land, I get to go first. I kick you 3 times and then you kick me 3 times and so on back and forth until someone gives up." The lawyer quickly thought about the proposed contest and decided that he could easily take the old codger. He agreed to abide by the local custom. The old farmer slowly climbed down from the tractor and walked up to the attorney. His first kick planted the toe of his heavy steel-toed work boot into the lawyer's groin and dropped him to his knees. His second kick to the midriff sent the lawyer's last meal gushing from his mouth. The lawyer was on all fours when the farmer's third kick to his rear end sent him face first into a fresh cow pie. Summoning every bit of his will and remaining strength, the lawyer very slowly managed to get to his feet. Wiping his face with the arm of his jacket, he said, "Okay, you old fart. Now it's my turn. I love this part." The old farmer smiled and said, "Nah, I give up. You can have the duck." A wealthy politician released her tax returns for the public to view, according to custom. The politician had a neighbor who was in charge of a charity that was struggling for funds. After seeing the politician's tax returns, he saw a golden opportunity, and immediately went over and knocked on the politician's door. "All right, I can see from your tax returns that you make $500,000 a year, but you're not giving any money to charity," he told her. "Now, I happen to run a very credible charity, and oh look, I live right next door. Tell you what, you write me a check for $1,000 right now to help my charity, and then I promise I'll leave you alone." The politician gasped, very offended. "You think I have money just sitting around to give to charity?" she said. "Were you aware that last year, my father lost his house in a fire, and everything he owned along with it?" I didn't," said her neighbor. "And did you also know that my daughter got into a horrible car accident last year, having medical bills several times her annual wages?" she went on. No, I'm sorry. And that my sister had her husband walk out on her, leaving her penniless with 3 children?" Her neighbor, now very embarrassed, said, "Oh my! I apologize. I had no idea what was going on with your family members." And the politician continued, "And so, if I didn't give any money to them, why would I give any to you?"